Hey, this is Tony C. of the Morning Rush. Here's an interview Joe Shuta did for The Rush on Cumberland's ESPN Radio.
Joining us on the Morning Rush, Jason Kendall. Super Bowl week, we are going to talk football. Wait a minute, Jason Kendall talking football. Jason, how are you doing? Kansas City area, how are things out there getting ready for the Super Bowl with the Chiefs?
Joe, thanks for having me, number one. Number two, this place is going crazy. And it's really cool because when we won the World Series in 2015, it was unbelievable. Obviously, we went to the World Series in 2014 as well. Place is packed, people going nuts. Everybody's in blue. It's the same thing out here right now. Everybody's in red. I'll guarantee you, I would be very, very surprised if you see more white and gold than you do red out there. I mean, obviously, I know the Niners have red in their uni as well, but I'll guarantee you most of the people out there, 70, 80% of people will be wearing red, and they will be Chiefs fans. They are so fired up.
Jason Kendall joins us as we talk football. Of course, you were a high school quarterback. Talk about playing football, but you're also a tremendous baseball player. You sort of had that tug between the two. Was that difficult for you playing in high school? Everyone says if you get hurt playing football, there goes your baseball career. How did that work out?
It's funny you say that because it was a tough thing for me, and I went through all of my recruiting trips. I think at the time there were 7. I don't know how many you can take now. I took all my 7 recruiting trips, and every one that I went to, I wanted to play both. If I was not going to sign, I didn't know when I was going to be drafted. The only school that, and my brother was going there at the same time, he was a pitcher, was San Diego State. They were the only school that was, allowed me to play both baseball and football because I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I was a pretty good quarterback. We threw the ball 30, 40 times a game, and we had an ex-NFL quarterback. Didn't play. His name was Bill Bynum. Didn't play much, maybe like even just like a couple preseason games or whatever. But we had 5 guys who could catch the ball. They all went on to get D1, D2 scholarships, bull rides. I would throw for 300 yards every game, and I loved it. So obviously baseball is my first love, but I wanted to play football as well and just kind of see where it went.
I read a capsule view of you, and it talked about some of your abilities. It said that you love contact. Did you really enjoy contact?
I enjoyed giving the blow, obviously not getting blindsided or something like that, but I had no problem running the ball and lowering a shoulder and giving a blow because I'll be honest with you, Joe, I was 5'9", 160 pounds when I graduated high school, but I also knew how to hit somebody. And a lot of times when you're a senior in high school or junior, whatever it may be, there's 1 or 2 things you can do. And it's one of them is you kind of back down a little bit, which is unsafe. And I was always taught you go, even if you get your butt kicked. So I loved to just because everybody thought I was just this little quarterback and then I'd come in and knock them on their butts. And it was just one of those things. It was fun, but I was taught the right way and how to do it. Your head up, use your pads.
Jason Kendall joins us on the Morning Rush. Of course, the big question is, do you let your kids play football? Parents have that question. From your point of view, how do you look at it?
You know, my kids played football until they were in 8th grade. I made sure that I was one of their coaches. This is when I was done playing. I knew how to do things the right way. So I let them play, and they eventually were like, you know what, I want to go on to whether it be baseball or wrestling, et cetera, et cetera. But I let them play because I knew I was going to be out there at all times to teach these kids how to do it the right way. There's a lot of coaches, which I've seen, don't teach them how to do it the right way. And it was to the point where I would grab the other team's kid and be like, hey, you got to keep your head up. My freshman year, I'll never forget, Jason and John Knight, twins, came from Compton up to Torrance High School, transferred. Their mother was a single mother, brought them up. Jason Knight was unbelievable. Probably one of the better athletes I've ever seen. John Knight was a tackle, bigger guy. They were twins. First play I ever saw, kickoff to him. First play of the game, freshman high school. First play of my career, too. He's running it back, boom, paralyzed for life. Helicopter come down the air. It was just awful, and I'll never forget that story. From that point on, do I want them to play football, or did I want them to play football? No, but I was going to make sure that if they were playing football, that they were taught the right way to do things.
We are joined by Jason Kendall. We're talking football. It's Super Bowl week on the Morning Rush. Why do you think the NFL is so popular? I saw a stat that NFL, when games are on, they are about 400% more ratings than the most popular TV show.
Such a great question. First of all, I want to apologize about being Debbie Downer and talking about that Jason Knight story, but I think people just enjoy, which is really sick, they enjoy the brutalness of it. And obviously everybody's going to be a fan of pretty much wherever they live. And it's a great question. I don't know. But, I mean, yeah, you can have the Grammys on or the Oscars or whatever the greatest show is at night, and then you have the football game on at night. It's going to be football. I think it's just the beauty about it. And there's so much negativity, which I can't stand about football because of situations like I was saying before. But it's such a great game to watch. But I know that if I had a chance to go back and play one last high school sporting event, it wouldn't be a baseball game. It would be a football game.
Don't you think it fits well into society? It's once a week, whereas baseball is like soap opera every single day. It's a really long season. Football, you prepare, you sort of lead up to it. Look at the Super Bowl. They have a 2-week lead up. To me, it just sort of fits into today's busy society where it's once a week you have to get ready for it as compared to other sports where you have a couple games a week.
Joe, this is where I disagree with you, is because baseball being played every day, that's what everybody is doing. Most of Americans are doing is working every day. Obviously, Monday through Friday is probably percentage-wise the greatest. Football once a week, yes. I think why it's such a huge thing right now is gambling, fantasy football. But I think baseball is more of an American, I don't know if I'm saying this the right way, more of a thing that relates more to America, maybe because it is every day. And trust me, and tell me if I'm wrong. I might be completely wrong, but nobody wants to wake up every morning and go to work and come back. So I would like to think that people relate more to baseball. Not to say you can't bet on baseball, relate more to baseball because these guys are going out and grinding. Does it get boring? Does it get old? Yeah, sometimes. If you're not a true fan, football is once a week. And I think that's more of like you're gambling. Everybody is in fantasy football, and I'm sure a lot of people are in fantasy baseball. I've never done it and never even had a thought of doing it. Football is one of those things that is captured this whole world because it is once a week, and it is something that you can go and talk about if you win and brag about if you're that good.
So final moments with Jason Kendall on the Morning Rush. It's really interesting. People complain about how long baseball games are. Football games now are 3.5 hours, even longer. And they have a clock, are longer than baseball games on average. But there's a perception that baseball is longer because they think it's slower.
Well, you've already said it. Football's once a week. Baseball's every day. And it can get slower. If you don't know what's going on in a baseball game, it's boring. There's not too many boring parts of a football game if you can really think about it. Plus, that being once a week, and if it's your team, you're locked and loaded for those 3 hours. Now, baseball every night. It's every day. People are working. The work ethic is, I'm not saying the work ethic in football is not that, because in order to get to that level, your work ethic has to be amazing. But in baseball, because I do know for a fact, because I lived it, is your work ethic in baseball has to be not just amazing, but out of this world. If you want to get there, number one, if you want to stay there, number two, and how long you want to stay there. Football-wise, it's the same thing, but I don't know. I never played football at that level. So that being said, is a lot of people who work Monday through Friday come home, they have their fantasy team, and they want to watch football and win and watch these guys beat the crap out of people, because it is more exciting to watch a football game once a week than it is to watch a baseball game every day of the week.
Well, finally, Jason, tell us about your plans for a Super Bowl. Big party, a lot of eating involved?
No, I'm going to sit on my couch and watch the game, and hopefully the Chiefs win. Obviously, I live in Kansas now, and Patrick Mahomes was my teammate. I'm not talking about Pat Mahomes. I'm sorry. Patrick, his kid. In 2003, I believe. But I remember him bringing his kid in, 6, 7, or 8, that range. And now the guy can run Kansas City. And that was his son, Patrick Mahomes. And so, the way he handles himself is unbelievable. He handles himself, and that's because of his dad, Pat, being in the locker room and growing up. But the way Patrick Mahomes handles himself now, he's been there and done that. And I want nothing but the best for that kid, because, boy, I'm going to tell you what, though, anywhere he walks out here, he's God. He goes and wins the Super Bowl this weekend. Whew. You talk about someone who has can walk around and have the key to this city and never pay for a meal. It's Patrick Mahomes, but he's such a good kid.
Jason, thanks for joining us on the Morning Rush. Enjoy a Super Bowl Sunday, and before you know it, spring training. Baseball is right around the corner.
It sure is, but let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs until then, and hopefully they win, and then talk to you soon, Joe. Always a pleasure.